First of all, I just want to say what an honor it is to have John with us here this evening, and congratulations to you. One of my favorite parts of his amazing biography is that he is one of two members of Congress that are still serving this country who were present when Medicare passed in 1965. He and John Dingell, as he's pointed out, was one of the first bills that was passed. And, John Dingell, who was the other member, was somebody who I've talked to once in a while on the floor about when that vote was cast, because John Dingell actually was in the Speaker's chair, still has the gavel that was brought down on April 8, 1965, when the bill passed, and reminds people that when that bill passed, only half of America's seniors had health insurance. And it's the same sort of situation that we're in right now. I mean, the private market just considered people over 65 too high a risk to insure. And it was very controversial when the Medicare vote was taken up. There was a lot of negative voices that were out there. And but in retrospect, I think 44 years later, we can say, and my parents were on Medicare, and there's people in this room on Medicare. The hospital serves thousands of people every year who are on Medicare, and it's almost impossible to imagine this country today if people like John Dingell hadn't had the strength of character to do what needed to be done in terms of making sure that people over 65 had a stable, affordable, basic level of health care, which when it first passed just included hospitalization and doctor's visits. Today it includes home health care services. It provides medical equipment for people. It provides a wide variety of specialized care far beyond what was originally in the legislation. And that's something also I think people should remember, going back to John's last point, which is that like civil rights laws, like many of the difficult challenges and milestones of our country, sometimes it takes a while to sort of build on what is sort of a bedrock accomplishment, like the one that he voted on in 1965. To answer your question, Larry, about House bill, Senate bill, I mean, we know on February 25th, the President has invited the leadership of both parties to come to the White House to have a completely public discussion on this issue, which I think is terrific, and that the goal is to try and extract from both sides ideas where there is common agreement. And as the Washington Post did a story the other day, there are many elements of the Republican proposals, like buying insurance across state lines, which the Senate bill did incorporate, and that's something that I enthusiastically support. And I think is something that we can all accommodate in terms of a final measure. And there are other examples of where Republican ideas actually have been incorporated in both bills. And that's something that frankly doesn't get recognized enough. And I think this session at the White House will hopefully shed light on that and really clarify the fact that there really are areas of agreement that are on the table right now. The White House, it's my understanding, is going to post a bill online next week or a few days before the meeting, and frankly that's something that they're working on themselves. And how much they're going to pull from the House bill, how much they're going to pull from the Republican ideas, how much they're going to pull from the Senate is something that I don't know the answer. I don't think any of us do in the House. But hopefully restarting the public discussion with an open, transparent public process, which will be there for all Americans to see online, will be a way, hopefully, of trying to restart the process and get to what I think John said is the real best end game in any legislative process on any bill that's ever passed in this country's history, which is just to get the best bill that is as well balanced as you can possibly get to move this country forward. I don't know if you want to chime in on that, John, but
Congressman Cook.
Thank you. I just want to follow up Ken's comments, because I think what he described is really the challenge of our country in terms of the workforce needs that we have, which are going to be tremendous as the baby boom generation begins to move out of the workforce in bigger and bigger numbers, and whether or not we're going to have an education system that's ready to develop the replacement for that is really, I think, a real, almost a silent crisis in terms of the future. And there are some great models out there in terms of school districts and schools that have interacted with private companies to set up student mentoring internship programs to basically awaken people, even at the high school age, the incentive and the inspiration to go into trades, to go into different professions, which end up being really a lifetime career move. The best example of a student intern mentoring program is an electric boat, which has been doing it with Grasso Tech for a number of years, where they go into the schools, they basically offer students there the opportunity to work at EB for summers program there, that they get exposed to working as draftsmen or in the draftsman shop or even on the production side. And what that program has produced is young people who've gone into working at EB as a career, and now they're at the point where some of the folks who've gone through that program are now the mentors for a new generation of students that are proceeding through Grasso. There was a self-employed tax preparer whose health insurance rates for 2010 went up 32%. The guy sitting next to him, who again had a small law practice, his went up over 20% for 2010. You know, as Larry's question points out, the town of Plainfield, who's in the Norwich Bulletin the other day, their health plan is going up 21%. Abbey, I think he said we were about double digit, just about 9 or 10% for the city of Norwich. You know, these are crushing costs for school districts that are struggling to maintain staffing levels, you know, with just the status quo, let alone trying to address music and arts programs, etc. And what it's clear is, I mean, that's not because we passed a health bill. I mean, that's the status quo. And this problem is not going to fix itself if nothing happens this year. The measure which passed in the House, which calls for, and actually in the Senate as well, which calls for creating a national purchasing exchange, which will be a market very similar to what federal employees use.
Now I'm strong, and I can say it